And if you're sitting at work, or for whatever reason a firewall is blocking your microphone from working, you can just simply type in what your question is. So I'm going to open up the chat box so we can see in the chat box, and you're seeing the student view of the chat box. I'm going to highlight that with my mouse on my student screen. So you're seeing where it appears for the student view when you're having a desktop shown to you. So I could just type my question here in the chat box, or from a student view, I would type my question, and I'm highlighting that on my student screen where my cursor is. So I'm going to go ahead and type a question from my student perspective, and I just typed in type question here. I think everyone will remember this from our orientation this past week. Very simple. Now, audio. If for some reason, let's say I'm on a very low bandwidth reception. Students are sitting in airports, listening on a cell card, a wireless card in their computer, and a lot of other users. For whatever reason, you have low bandwidth connection. You're sitting in the Seychelles Islands. We have students in Cook Islands. We have students in all over the Pacific Islands, and Samoa. That's what I'm thinking of. Samoa, Seychelles. Places where you don't have underwater fiber optic cables going to necessarily yet, in particular Seychelles. So there's two surefire ways to improve your quality. The first surefire way is, we said from a protocol perspective, when we start class, we want all the students to use their webcams, so that everybody can see each other, and it creates a humanality in the mega meeting system. If we're just using mega meeting for its audio and show desktop features, there's other programs we could be using, and freeware even, as opposed to paying to have mega meeting and so forth. But the replication of the social experience within the classroom, seeing each other, the eyeballing each other, we have found after 11 years of being here in the United States as an accredited at an accredited law school that's online. Of course, as you know, Thomas Jefferson's a residential law school. We're building a $130 million building downtown, as you heard during orientation. See all the pictures, but the program is solely online, and we have 11 years of experience here in the U.S. doing this, more years if you take the time. I was in South Africa doing online, and the difference between not having webcams and having webcams is the night and day. And the classes have become more cohesive and socially coherent with each other, and the professional networking has greatly increased. And more importantly, as we covered during orientation, dialing into work, we call it telecommuting, has not just become important, it's become a requirement for a lot of law firms. Number two, from a wealth management point of view, for those of you doing that concentration, clients don't have time to fly. You don't have time to fly and meet them. They're requiring video conferencing, and the most effective, cheap way of doing video conferencing without having equipment and setup and all that on the fly is using a program like MegaMeeting. It doesn't have to be MegaMeeting by any means. You can use whatever's out there, GoToMeeting and yada yada. They're more or less all the same functionality-wise. It's just that you have to have, or you better have, the knowledge and experience of using these programs to make it a natural experience, so that you're not fiddling around with getting the technology right, that it just becomes a smooth transition from shaking hands in person to shaking, what we call cyber shaking, but shaking hands on the web, seeing each other and eyeballing. So again, we start class, everyone has their webcams on. You can chat before class. If class starts at 9, students are expected to be there at 8:55. The classroom never turns off, so you all are in there chatting with each other before class. You'll also be chatting with each other during your study groups. So you have 1 or 2 lectures for every course during the week, and we'll see that when we get to Twin with our calendar. But the study group meets separately, and usually a class, we don't really like to have more than 15 people in any online course because you lose the interactivity in source. So the 15 people, you might have 5 groups of 3 or 3 groups of 5. And for study group purposes, as opposed to the assignments where the teachers create your groups for you, for study group purposes, you create your own groups, and you're going to want to create those, we'll see in social bios, based on regionality, time zone, and so forth, most probably. And your study groups traditionally meet during the weekends, since most of your lectures and the courses occur during the weekdays. 90%, 95% of the required lectures are during the weekdays. I say required, of course, if you miss, we record these as we're recording this now, and you can always watch it on demand later in the semester, and then we delete it for the next semester's lectures. Okay. So you have your webcams on, but now the instructor comes in. Some instructors will tell you what they want. Well, no, all instructors will tell you what they want. Some of them will say, I'm going to be Socratic, and you'll know this from your syllabus, you'll know this from your orientation week, next week, your first week of class, they'll tell you exactly what they want. They'll say, you leave your webcams on the whole time, unless you have bandwidth problems. And if you have bandwidth problems, you'll, number 1, turn video off. So I'm going to go ahead and you'll just see, when I turn video off, it's going to make my video disappear from the screen. Poof, it's going to be gone. What this does is, I'll poof it back on. It allows MegaMeeting to send more audio packets to me in a steady stream, as opposed to leaving 2 channels open, one for video and one for audio. Let me explain that again. When I'm using MegaMeeting, when you're using any internet-based kind of video chat program or what have you, you have one channel that's sending when receiving. And of the send-receive, on my sending side, I have my audio and my video. And on my receiving side, I have my audio and my video. So I really have like 4 things going on. Send, audio, video. Receive, audio, video. I'm simplifying this. If you're a tech expert, you know that I'm radically simplifying this. But as we said during orientation, when I turn my video off, that frees a channel of bandwidth that's being used, even if I don't have a webcam. So let's say I didn't have a webcam set up right now, but I have not turned my video off. The MegaMeeting is reserving bandwidth space for using a webcam that I'm not even using. So if I don't have a webcam, I should sure turn the video off and free up that bandwidth to be used for audio. The second thing I can do to improve my audio is putting an arrow to it at the top of my screen. I can change my bandwidth, which is set for normal bandwidth usage, to optimize audio. So I'm going to go ahead and click on bandwidth normal, and we see from